Alrighty, everyone, welcome to the first episode of the post-production podcast. We are going over Zombieland 2 Double Tap this week. I am joined by the great and mighty William Salt.
I'm so glad to be here. I can't tell you how many times I wanted to do something like that. We know ourselves for like how long? 3 years?
Yeah, like something like that.
And I thought it would be great for us to start something like that. So yeah, I'm William Salt. I love movies, and I love everybody that is watching or hearing. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Sam.
It is absolutely a pleasure to be here. And I have my good friend Michael on the other line here locally with me. Right.
Hey guys, how are you?
Awesome. Okay. So with that out of the way, like I said, we are going to be doing Zombieland 2 Double Tap. We all have seen this movie, and some of us went even back and watched the first one. So we're going to kind of do a breakdown of the second one and then do a comparison of the first one. So, Michael, why don't you give us your first impressions on the movie?
All right, so it automatically scored brownie points with me when the first thing that happened was it played Master of Puppets by Metallica in the opening intro. But past that, you have to realize that Zombieland 2 is a regular comedy movie in an era of movies that are just sort of like bland. And they're bland for bad reasons. You can see some of the movies that are out here nowadays that are being like politically driven instead of just like artistically driven. And sort of a nod to the first movie. The second one continues in the same vein, but does a little bit differently. Not too much. So, in a way, it's just basically a lot more of the same.
Absolutely. William, what did you think of the movie?
I think the movie was pretty good, but I still think the first one is better. That's probably one thing that really upset me is exactly what Michael just said. That it's just pretty much, again, the same thing. It's exactly the same movie. I mean, I love it because I know it was made so it would be kind of like a reunion after 10 years of the movie. And yeah, that's really cool. That's a really nice touch. The movie was really, I thought it was really good. It builds really well around the idea of making comedy just for the sake of comedy. And yeah, I would watch it again.
Awesome. Okay. I definitely have to sit on the other side of this fence. I think that Zombieland 2 did a better job of reiterating and redefining the jokes that are in Zombieland 1. As I watched the first one, which is one of my favorite movies of all time, and really still is, I can't help but feel like the jokes in that movie are very rough and very of the time. Like, you have to understand, Zombieland was coming out around the same era of Scott Pilgrim, Superbad, movies along those same vein. So, you have all these other movies, so the jokes do kind of show their age. So I feel like the jokes in Zombieland 2 are obviously jokes written, it's probably filmed in 2018, but very modern feeling jokes. I feel like they flow a lot better as we figured out cinema comedy. So why don't we go ahead and just hop into the movie? What would you guys say is like your favorite part? I know, Michael, you mentioned that they played Metallica at the beginning, but what was your like favorite part of the movie? Like, what was the thing that really stood out to you?
Honestly, I think the best part of the movie was probably the end. When they're getting face down, just also clarification, we doing any sort of like spoilers for this?
This is pretty much a spoiler podcast.
All right.
If you're watching it, you're spoiled.
All right, cool. So to lay it out flat, Woody Harrelson pulls some like data about himself out of his hat saying, oh yes, I've got this Native American Cherokee blood running through my veins. And my ancestors would hunt buffalo by herding them off of the cliff, and it would be a great buffalo run. Well, if you're familiar with comedy movies, usually what happens is that there's a lot of foreshadowing. And they did exactly that. Woody Harrelson led these new, like, allegedly smarter T-800 zombies because they make a lot of Terminator references, and I also enjoy that. Off of this giant tower where all the hippies were staying at, and it was the first, the last, the greatest zombie run. And that was probably my favorite moment because it was essentially wrapping things up at that point, and they had a lot of nice things with the monster truck scene in particular. That was also really good. That was just like a few minutes beforehand. I was honestly also waiting for that the entire movie. So there's my answer. My favorite scene was the Great Zombie Run.
Zombie kill of the
Zombie
century.
kill. Yeah. Will's got it. Yeah, that was
Awesome.
pretty good. Will, what did you think? What was your favorite part?
Okay, so first of all, Woody Harrelson, the heart of the movie, like absolutely 100%, which is
Yep.
what was a little disappointing for me as well because I thought Columbus would be again the center of the movie, and I thought in Zombieland 1 at least his personality was what was so catchy for me, and the idea of building around a zombie apocalypse like it was just one big joke, build around the rules and stuff and all that, the jibber jabber that you know that makes no sense at all. I just
yeah.
think
totally
that was really amazing, and just pointing that out. I thought it was not as many references as in the first movie of other people in other places and other ways that people would react to the zombie apocalypse. That kind of disappointed me a little bit. Although the two scenes that were in the movie were incredible, but my favorite scene still is Bill Murray. Like no doubt there.
The
Like-
end credit scene.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I was like, oh, okay, that's a pretty good movie. And then they started with the post credit scene, and then I was just clapping, like, this is completely ridiculous. You guys nail it 100%. Because I
Okay.
guess that was the idea,
Right.
to make
And I
it
do agree-
cranky,
I
to make
definitely-
it dumb.
I definitely do agree with you where like this movie dropped a lot of the references. I felt like I said earlier, like it is the first one is a very cultured piece. It was set in 2009. That was the time frame. But I feel like this one made less references overall. It wasn't necessarily a culture piece as it was a reunion movie. To go into my favorite scene, I think I really liked the whole bit of the makeshift Graceland or the Graceland Hotel. Like the whole thing starting from when they enter to when they end up with their doppelgangers and when they try to leave on the monster truck. There's just so much that connects the rest of the movie and what's happened before. So, they have their journey to Graceland where Tallahassee, which a quick note about Tallahassee, I found it very interesting where in each movie he has a different obsession. The first one, it's Twinkies. And in this one, it's
Second
Elvis.
one is Elvis.
And I was listening in the first one for any reference of Elvis, nothing. So he just has a different obsession every time. So I'd be pretty interested to see, whenever they make the next one, if it's 10 years later, what's going to be Tallahassee's next obsession that he's going to follow for the rest of the movie.
Woody Harrelson would be ancient if they make a next one.
Woody Harrelson is in his 50s.
He's like 58, isn't he?
Yeah, so he's going to be like 68. Also, Bill Murray, if they pull him back for it, it's going to be like in his 80s.
They
He's
will
gonna be
have
dead.
to literally make that man a zombie.
They probably
Yeah.
honestly
Honestly.
be pretty funny. That'd be pretty funny. That worked for the movie. But I just like how so you got Tallahassee chasing both Little Rock and Elvis, and he finds this place where both of them have been. So that's kind of tying those things up. You've got the reference where he didn't need anybody besides the Beast, and he finds somebody there. But then also like even at the very end after they've defeated their doppelgangers, you've got the callback to them having to drive the Pontiac again. Like and ongoing jokes for the movie. It's just kind of a very central point, has a lot to tell. And I going into that part specifically, the doppelganger scene was done really, really well. And I think that's like I don't want to say it's the pinnacle of comedy in the movie because I definitely laughed harder, but I think that's the pinnacle of the comedy that they definitely tried. Like that was like the thing they were like, okay, this is what's going to be unique about this movie is this scene right here.
Completely nonsense.
It was nonsense, absolutely nonsense, but it made for a great bit, and it didn't last long. It didn't last long. They were like, okay, so we're gonna bring these people in that are exactly like them, and then we're gonna kill them off right away. I
Mhm.
thought that was interesting way to go about the comedy.
Yeah.
Um, Speaking of the comedy, do you guys like the overlay of the jokes in this one better, or do you like it in the first one better?
First one
Well,
better.
mm, thinking back on the first one, going back to what you were saying about setting the time frame of the movie was made, super bad. It was like sort of like when awkward teens were doing dumb, stupid shit that they weren't supposed to be doing. So, that being said, I think I'm going to have to go with the second one because even though I was an awkward teenager at the time when I was watching the first Zombieland, it I don't think I related to it as much, but I definitely like the whole way they did set it up in the first one, just it being like a dark zombie parody movie. Because even though it's like supposed to be a comedy, there is some like, oh wow, that zombie looks horrific. I'll probably have nightmares about that later, maybe.
Maybe.
Right. And I definitely do think that the first movie is um, Columbus's movie, like you said earlier, Will. The first movie
Mhm.
definitely relates more to Columbus. You follow him pretty much the entire movie. It's about him. But I think what was interesting is, the whole movie he's trying to do the hair thing, right? He's trying to put the hair behind the ear. That's the
Yeah.
whole point of the first movie. Like that's
Mhm.
that's his whole, and he finally gets to that point. But they get that out of the way really, really quickly in the second one, and I think that's kind of an homage that they made, where it's like, okay, we've moved this movie on from being his struggle to being more a character piece about these characters that you already care about.
Mhm.
And I think the performances in this movie are definitely better. The cohesion coming back to film this movie are definitely there, 100%. And I think coming back, they had a stronger cohesion as actors, but they've also gone on to do incredible things, right? Like in the time that just Emma Stone has done since then. She's done both Amazing Spider-Man movies, which, they aren't great, but we can all say that Emma Stone's performance in them was good.
Mhm.
The Help, uh, other movies. I can't list any else off the top of my head, but like she's done so many other, movies since. Woody Harrelson's done a ton. Jesse Eisenberg has done a ton, and his are a little more controversial. Let's be honest there. But overall, they've gone and done well with their careers, and then moved
Mhm.
on to come back to this movie. So they're better actors now. Woody Harrelson, give or take, he was on Cheers, so he's got a little bit more experience
He's a
than the rest of them.
professional.
Right, exactly. The other ones were kind of young bloods. I think Emma Stone was only 19 when that first movie came out.
Really?
Yeah, she's 30 now, so she might have been 20 when it came
Yeah,
out.
I'm not
Yeah, so
sure.
she was
How
as
old?
young as her character was. She was 20, as far as I understand.
How old was Little Rock?
Um,
Probably like 10 or 11
8?
at the well
Yeah.
in the movie. I think she was like 10 or 11. So
I think she
Mhm.
was probably 12 or 13 in the first one. That's my guess. She wasn't much older than the age she was trying to portray.
Mhm.
also to piggyback off of what you guys said earlier, yes, is definitely more of like a Woody Harrelson. Hey, this is him in Zombieland kind of
Mhm.
focus, but that's not to say that Columbus doesn't get a little bit of attention because Jesse Eisenberg is still relevant in the film. I mean, not as relevant as Woody Harrelson, but for those of you who are listening and saying, oh, well, this is just going to be Woody Harrelson's gig, it's not. It's just that he gets a little bit more of the jokes in because it's sort of, in a way, it is a movie for him, but all the other characters are still relevant.
And I think they moved Jesse Eisenberg's plot, which he does have a very big plot in this movie with the whole marriage proposal put in at the very beginning. Um, I think that they kind of put his on a subplot, and it was more about Tallahassee bringing us through Zombieland. I would almost say that this movie is more of a Fellowship of the Rings, than the first one was. The first one had the same type of adventure, but it was definitely more centered on one character. And but this one's more where it's all the characters are together. It's more of a Fellowship of the Rings where they're all on this adventure together, so,
I
so
think
to
that
speak.
was I think that was kind of the idea of the movie, really, because it was, and that's why I like it so much. It'll build around a reunion, and I think what makes it interesting is that I think all of the actors are really enjoying what they're doing, and that for me at least makes the movie much more immersive because that's absolutely real for them. They're literally very no, they're literally living the character, and in each and every single one of them are literally, at least I can see that they're really, really, really enjoying the whole idea, and that's exactly what you said, like Fellowship of the Rings and stuff. And maybe that was what made the movie. I wouldn't say unique because it's still the same thing, but that's what made it different from the first movie itself.
It has a
And
completely different tone.
I wouldn't say completely.
I would wager that it probably carried the same tone over, maybe just a little bit lighter this time around. But you know, it's a comedy, and if the people who are making a comedy don't feel comfortable about it, like you can tell. And so, you know, they probably enjoyed filming the first Zombieland. So when they got around, it was the same director, right?
Yeah, same director.
So
Same
probably
team, same
when
everything.
yeah, so when they probably got notification from their agents, whatever, say, "Hey, Zombieland 2, you guys ready for it?" They'd be like, "Yeah, let's do this."
I watched a couple interviews about the movie, and that was definitely the vibe that I was getting. Was that they were just as excited to come back as the director was to redirect it, because this is the same director that did Venom.
Oh, God.
Keep that in mind.
I didn't
That
watch
is
that.
crazy to me. It wasn't great.
It's good. Well, are you sure?
I
enjoyed
did not
it.
enjoy it personally.
Well, we'll talk about it another time then.
I guess I'm gonna have to watch it.
But I can definitely tell that this was the same director as Venom. Very, very clear. But
Why?
it's just the level of comedy.
The tone.
Because
as
the
well.
thing about Venom that was so good was the character set pieces. Was the point when Eddie Brock is discussing with himself or Venom. You know, he was basically doing a discussion with himself, and those were the best parts of the movie. And that's what makes Zombieland so great, is that they flesh out these characters. You know, I've said this to you, I think both of you individually, but I feel like the gore in this movie is really just an avenue for them to tell darker jokes that you wouldn't be able to in a movie that doesn't have this much gore in it. Like, it's not really a centerpiece. There's only like one part of the movie at the very, very beginning where I feel like the gore even has anything to do with the movie.
I
Well,
think
and
that
it's probably just
Right.
because of the setting as well, because you know it is Zombieland, and zombies aren't meant to look pretty, and
Mm-hmm.
the comedy, the setting is just supposed to take off from that. And you're right, I don't think that the gore was as focused in this movie, which, you know, you don't have to focus on a gory zombie film, especially when it's a comedy. So
yeah, I think they did a really good job focusing on the comedy itself, because that honestly everything else about the movie, and that's really not the point because it is a comedy, so it's only built for that purpose. But everything else about the movie is it's pretty low quality. Let's put it that way.
I never felt like they're like, can't even think of anything that was like huge CGI set pieces. Like, I think they might have
There wasn't.
dotted it in here and there. Yeah, but that is
monster truck scene, great.
that's
zombie
the
run,
only thing
and
I
those
could
are
think of
probably
was the
only
monster
two.
truck when it was flipping
flip?
over, but that was
Yeah.
that was about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the thing about comedies is they're only ever as good as the actors that play them. Like, the performances of the actors make the comedy. So
And the jokes they tell.
and the jokes they tell, for sure. The writing is very important. But like, I was looking at the ad beforehand was Bad Boys for Life, the new movie coming out with Will Smith and Martin.
Oh God, Martin Lawrence, man.
Yes.
He looks like Big Mama.
The thing is, I don't know if that movie will be very good because I don't know if any of those actors are trying. For the trailer, it doesn't look like it.
I'm
And
gonna give
Did
a shot for
anybody
Will Smith,
actually
man.
lie?
I will put my faith in Will Smith.
Okay.
I
All
wouldn't-
hail Will Smith. I see.
Do you guys did like the Bad Boys, like the 1 or 2 and 2?
I've never seen him. I honestly have never seen him.
I wouldn't say cultural pieces of art, but they're good because it's like spy cop comedy in a
Yeah.
weird way.
Yeah, but I think they do wrong exactly what Zombieland does right. You know, at least that's my opinion, of course, because
What do you mean?
when you're trying to do a comedy, the only thing that needs to work is like you guys said, you gotta get the jokes, and it needs to feel like something like they're not trying to force you to laugh. You know, it needs to come naturally. And I think, at least for me, but maybe I'm not. Maybe I kind of didn't get the environment of the Bad Boys or anything, or something like that. But I never felt like that was the movie for me. I don't think it's funny. I don't think the joke. I don't think the environment's actually funny.
All I really remember from Bad Boys was rats eating this cocaine drug lord's money in his attic, and Will Smith shot Martin Lawrence in the ass. That's all I remember from it.
I remember
shoot
him
me in
taking
my
ecstasy and having an erection or something like that. He couldn't stop having an erection.
Well, I think
That's
what's
all I can
important
remember.
with movies, like I would almost put a comparison to Scott Pilgrim in this case. Like Scott Pilgrim is way over the top. It's so crazy, and there's stuff all over. And for anybody, the average person, it'd be really hard to watch. But it's Michael Cera's performance in the movie, him bouncing off all the other characters. I think that makes it so good, because I wouldn't say that it's a well shot, well produced. I don't think the special effects are great, that sort of thing. I think that's kind of the case with Zombieland. I personally think that they were okay. They were perfect for the movie, and the performances kind of fleshed out that world, where it's not a movie where I really care. That was one thing that kind of like I thought was really weird, was the they spent the first part of the movie explaining the new types of zombies in the same way that they explained the rules in the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
So they explained all the new types of zombies, but they only ended up using like 2 out of 4 of them, like once or twice in the movie. Like the ninja they only used once.
Twice. Well, they introduced it, and then
they use it once.
Wichita.
Oh yeah, they use it once under the
Or
RV.
Madison, I'm sorry, not Wichita.
Yeah.
And then the hawking is only twice as well, if I remember correctly. There's one in the mall,
and
Actually,
one when
no.
he's climbing the stair behind
the RV.
the RV stair.
I'm pretty sure when they were having that shootout, all those guys were Hawkings, because that Homer was just concentrating on that butterfly. Like, the Homers were harmless, essentially.
Yeah,
Which is
but
weird.
that was something
it.
very strange. Where are they all Hawkings? Because the Homers are easy to spot because they're literally dumb. Like, they're just so stupid. But were they all Hawkings, or were they just kind of like a standard that they don't really have a name for?
I think they were trying to aim for that. They were kind of like the standard sorts of zombie, and the
Gotcha.
types are.
And I mean, isn't the T-800 just kind of an evolution of the Hawking in general? Like, it's
Probably.
just a tougher Hawking.
Which, at this point, like, we're cherry picking like random stuff that has nothing to do with the comedy of the movie. So that just means that the movie did a good job.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, that's all I really have this, like, it's really hard for me to pull anything that I didn't like about this movie, and I'm maybe not the best judge for that, because I went into this movie with giant nostalgia glasses. Like
I guess
said,
everybody did, and that's the whole thing. It's a reunion for everybody that watched the movie back in 2009. Yeah.
Like
It was a reunion for us as well. Let me just go back to what you were saying about Scott Pilgrim. I just want to point it out that these are completely different types of humor or comedy. Like Scott Pilgrim is the pinnacle. Scott Pilgrim is the pinnacle of Generation Z and in comedy standards, and Zombieland is much more like a millennium sort of movie, even a boomer sort of movie. Like the cultural references, the pop references in Zombieland, they're very 80s. They're very old fashioned, like Bill Murray, Ghostbusters, and all that sort of stuff.
Good point.
Elvis, Twinkies.
Just because the references and the comedy are different doesn't mean that there aren't some comparisons that you can be made on how the movie was made. But I do totally agree with you. I think the way that I wrote it down, my first initial review of this movie, is it's the best traditional sequel we've seen in a long time. This movie is written in a very traditional sense. You're right. It does have a very normal movie feel to it. It flows just like every other movie you've ever seen. It has the same pacing. A lot of the jokes, like you said, are older references. Like, most people are not going to understand those Elvis references.
I guess.
A lot of them. I mean, I
didn't.
do, but
I
I
didn't.
understood some of them. But like our age isn't gonna get those jokes, but they're gonna get different jokes. Like the hippie thing, we definitely we all know people like that, right? Like,
Well, maybe
By
this
the
is
way-
just the old man in me coming out, but I understood all those references.
I
and,
mean, I
like I'm only
yeah.
22, guys. Like one of my favorite movies is Terminator. So
Oh yeah, Terminator. I just didn't get the Elvis references. Pretty much all the other references, I guess. Like there were Magic the Gathering references in the movie.
Yeah,
Did you see
you
that?
point. I saw them in the first one. But
You
I
didn't see it in
them
the second?
one. Uh-uh.
Oh
I'm
man,
100% certain that they were also playing the card game wrong, being a player myself. But
I don't know if they were.
then again, it was only like a 5-second thing. He just sort of picked it out because
They're
My
playing
question is,
Magic in the.
where did
Go,
they
go
get
ahead.
the
I guess I'm
cards?
talking too much.
No, you're good.
Where did they get the cards? Like
Why did they
Rule
keep magic
17,
cards with
travel
them?
light. Why are you carrying around magic cards?
Yeah, exactly.
But
Yeah.
goes back to the whole if you're just cherry picking, it means that the movie's good.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
So, one thing I wrote down about this movie in my notes here, when I went and watched it the second time, is that the stereotypes of the movie are so fun. Movies don't take. I feel like a lot of movies now don't take jabs at people anymore. And this movie jabbed at a lot of different stereotypes. Like they had the boomer stereotype, which was Woody Harrelson's character. Tallahassee is the boomer stereotype. You've got the traditional run away from home. You've got the doesn't want to commit girl. Like there's so many stereotypes. There was
yeah.
hippie stereotypes. There were
There was
Elvis stereotypes.
My favorite stereotype and probably my favorite character in the whole movie was freaking Madison. Dude, she was freaking amazing.
Yes. It's stuff
Madison
like that where it was
Yeah.
like
awesome.
they didn't care that they were making fun of a certain type of person
Mhm.
or like it's not even really just a type of person, but like they were basically like nudging you in the arm saying you've definitely met somebody like this before.
Hey Sam, can you
Mhm.
hear that?
What?
I said, Sam, can you hear that?
Hear what?
Sexism.
I mean, kinda.
Oh no, come on. That's definitely not the
I didn't
point.
feel like it was a sexist stereotype. It's
But
like
you
wasn't
know-
there. Go-
Yeah, it's just there are gonna be people that like watch this movie and all they're gonna do is write hit pieces about the misogyny, all the bull crap that is ruining movies nowadays. It's like one of the reasons why I'm not gonna go see Terminator. It's one of the reasons why I never saw Captain Marvel, because I knew immediately from the interviews that even if the content of the movie was going to be decent, there's going to be a political agenda behind it, and that's not.
And there's
going
gonna
to
be
behind.
PG everywhere. Yeah, I think that really destroys the whole environment of the movie. But I guess
And
that's something that everybody agrees, or most people agree.
And I think like I thought it was funny that this was a movie for, I would say, all adults of all ages, like adults of any generation, but they absolutely trashed on hippies and vegans and people from like the Berkeley culture and stuff like that. I just thought that was funny that they took a jab at it, but I didn't feel like it was distasteful. I didn't feel like
Thank
it was like
God,
like a-
Little Rock kept the gun. Like
Right,
really,
exactly.
I
It's-
was
it's stuff
so
like-
happy.
it was like I was so mad when they were burning the guns. I was like, "Are you actually kidding me? Like, who in a zombie apocalypse would be like, all right, well, I guess we're gonna get rid of the only thing that we have to defend ourselves."
Yeah, how in the world do you survive as a pacifist hippie in a world where literally anything will just come out of the bushes and nom on you? But
You don't.
Same old tired point. If we're just
And
cherry picking,
that's-
the movie did its job well.
Then that's exactly the joke.
Yep.
You don't.
And I mean, you look at like the only reference that I could pull from that sort of thing, like pacifist in a zombie apocalypse, Gabriel, the preacher in the Walking Dead show, refuses to kill people, but he still kills zombies. Like he still like he knows that you have to take them out or else they'll come back at you. So
I
I
think
don't
Herschel
know.
didn't kill zombies either. Not even zombies or humans. There was something like that.
Herschel absolutely killed people.
Yeah,
What
but
are
in
you
the
talking
beginning he
about?
didn't.
Oh yeah, in the beginning, yes, you're right.
Yeah. He used to herd
Oh.
zombies in the barn.
That you are correct. In season 2, yes, he did not. But this is not
Which
a
is
Walking Dead
ridiculous.
podcast for a reason, because it's bad.
Yeah.
But another thing I have written down here, and this is kind of gonna just be along Michael's point of nitpicking the movie, because honestly, I really don't have that much bad to say. But the romance in this movie makes little sense in most cases.
I think they were just
Emma
making
Stone's character.
plot.
Her name is blanking me right now.
Romance paved the way for Madison.
I
The
forgot.
romance paved the way for Madison. That's all it was.
What's that?
It was just
It
plot for the
was a
sake
set
of
piece
making
to-
plot.
Yeah, it was a set piece to enter Madison as a character. You're right, but it was done poorly. She didn't really have a reason to leave. Like, all she did, she stayed for 10 years and left a note and left. Like, I would imagine there'd be I know that's part of her character is that she leaves notes and leaves, but I don't know. And then the
Not
whole
gonna
thing.
lie, if they had gotten together in like the first one, which was pretty set in stone by the end of it, you would think that after 10 years, maybe they'd have had a kid by then.
Right, exactly. It did not feel the time between the movies did not feel like 10 years, even though they said it was.
Yeah, it felt more like 2.
Yeah, totally.
Felt
agree.
like more 2 weeks.
I wouldn't even. I'd say a little bit more time than that, but not much. You're right.
Only because of Little Rock.
And Little Rock's romance story was very hard to watch. That was the one part where it's like, especially when she dumps him at the end. It was like, really? You're just gonna dump him out of the blue? Like, you really like this guy, and then she just dumps him.
I personally enjoyed
well-
it because I saw that coming a mile away.
I mean, I did.
Yeah.
It's not that I didn't see it. I did see it coming, but like, I like it when movies give me a reason. Movies and games, especially. Like, I hate it when a game comes at me and is like, the story is now this. Well, why? Just give me a reason.
Looking at you, Halo 5.
But I mean,
Well,
after somebody starts singing "Free Bird" like it's his own song, I mean, he got to be done.
that's true. And this movie did a really good job of the classic comedy callback.
I love the cultural references in this movie.
Yeah, we're just like, of course I knew who Bob Dylan is. Like, I didn't even
Yeah.
know what that song was, and I
Yeah.
feel like I'm pretty steeped in old culture. So,
Well, you know what? She probably only knew who Bob Dylan was because of Tallahassee in the movie.
of course, right,
Probably,
and that's part of the callback.
I don't think it's supposed to make sense. Like I said, none of that is supposed to make sense. None of that is supposed to be in an exact context. Because if you're going to analyze the context, there is no context. The movie is a mess. The whole point is just entertainment itself, and that's what the movie do good. If I'm going to point out all the flaws in the movie, dude, there are a bunch, but none of them make sense because none of them are the actual intention. They're not trying to make something that makes sense.
None
Right,
of them
they're not-
actually detract from a movie. The movie itself is actually quite a normal movie, but compared to the rest of the movies that have been released in the past few years, it's a frickin' diamond in the rough, if you ask me.
Yeah, I totally agree. How'd you guys feel about Nevada coming in as a main character?
I think I would rather focus on Madison, honestly.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
because her name itself is right, dude. Everything about her is just perfect. She's the most well-developed character in the movie.
It's like
Yeah.
bringing a character from White Chicks into a Zombieland movie.
No, it's literally coming up with the first thing that you can think about. Like literally, the first thing that you can come up with, the most generic and stereotype thing that you can build up, and let's go with that. And I think that's exactly what they did. Let's go with stupid white chick. That's it. That's the stereotype that we're gonna start building around. And it's so fantastic that, for example, her name is the name of the city, like everybody else's. But at the same time, is it? Because her name is Madison. So is her name actually Madison, or
I
was
got the
she
impression that she
from
like the joke was
Madison?
she was so dumb that she didn't know about the city thing. That
But
was the
isn't
impression I
Madison a
got.
city?
Madison is a city,
Yep,
So-
Madison, Wisconsin.
so it
So-
very well could have. That's a good point. I didn't even think about that. That very well could be. I thought that she just
Yeah.
didn't get with the whole thing because she was isolated from people.
Like peanut allergy? Like, dude, what the hell? Like
That
ice
part was
cream
great.
truck?
That part was great. The
She's a
peanut
chick
allergy
that
was
came
awesome.
out. Yeah, she came out of a freezer that she stayed in for 10 years. Like what, dude? I just freaking love her. I just freaking
You
love
know,
her. And that's
Tallahassee's line, you know why the zombies didn't get her is because they hunt for brains and she doesn't
yeah, she
have
got
any.
no brain at all. And
That was
and I
good.
really like it because I think everybody, as far as I heard, I think from everybody that watched the movie, she was probably the most popular character that was built in the movie, and everybody literally just adored her. And the
Incredibly well acted.
and the director is actually thinking about making a movie in the same environment, in the same universe, just with her. At least I heard that. I don't know if you guys heard about
Okay,
that.
all right. I'm not sure if that's true, but okay.
You know why I think she works and why she was loved is because even though she was like a ditz in the movie, it wasn't like that kind of annoying ditz that's just there and it feels forced. It's like, oh wow, how did you survive this out of all things? And to like piggyback off of that, honestly, they could have done like a Legally Blonde moment where it was like she was stupid compared to everything else, but then she had this like one little knack about her where she was just like 10 out of 10. But also to go back to the main question about how do we feel about Nevada, you know, I'm mixed. Usually if I go to watch a comedy, I don't want to get bored with the romantic parts of it, and I got bored with the romance between Nevada and Tallahassee, but you know that's neither here nor there because it added to the comedy regardless, especially with the what was it, the driveway joke. I like that one.
No, yeah, that was another one of those. That's why that whole like scene is one of my favorites. Is that was another really good joke. That was like the one overtly sexual joke in the movie. There were a lot in the first one, and there are like, you could probably count them on one hand in the second movie. There's not that many.
Probably two that I can
This-
think of because driveway joke and then
Group
Madison
sex.
and Columbus.
Yeah. But I don't think that's is that a sex joke? Does that count as a sex joke?
I think it. Yeah,
I
it does.
laughed regardless because you know it's something a lonely ditzy blonde would say is like either I'm gonna fuck you or I'm gonna fuck the old man. It's like
I'm gonna take one for the team and fuck the old man.
right.
That was good.
Really good. I love Madison, dude. She's my favorite character. from
Like
the
I
movie.
said,
She's amazing.
incredibly well acted, and like whoever played her played her really, really well.
Oh, but
She was-
just so I can finish on the Nevada thing. I think that was just an extra for the boomers, really, the romance in between the two.
I think
Just so
you're
they
right
could-
to an extent, but I do feel like she is a natural addition to the team. She makes sense to add to the team. I would have been more disappointed if Madison would have been a part at the end. I personally, because I think Madison kind of fits into this movie specifically, but not necessarily into a larger narrative. And I think that they have a lot more that they could do with Nevada as a character rather than Madison.
I heard that rumor that I told you about. Of course, I'm not sure if it's true or not, but I would love to see a solo movie of Madison. I would watch that a million times.
Yeah, I definitely would too. It's not that I'm saying you can't do more with her character. I just mean in the continuity of Zombieland 1, 2, 3, and however many they're gonna keep doing, I think that she doesn't necessarily fit in our group. Does she fit in a group? Absolutely. Like, what if they did a movie specifically about the hippies or something like that? I don't know. That doesn't sound incredibly good to me, but
I honestly don't. I really hope that they don't make a third one because then you sort of get like the Rocky effect, or
I think they're gonna ruin the third movie.
Call of Duty effect.
I hope, my hope for the third movie is that it doesn't fall into the classic 80s action movie trope where it's like the first two are solid gold set pieces, but then the third movie starts to kind of muddy up the waters because somebody comes in and decides they want to do something new with the franchise and it doesn't work.
Get a little bit of that tried so hard and got so far.
Yeah, and in the end it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, because
Well, they're gonna still make
everyone's-
him.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that they were still gonna be making money, so they probably will do it, and it probably
There's
will
going
suck.
to, I guarantee you guys right now, sitting right here, there's going to be a sequel. I don't know how many years it will be, but there will be a sequel. I guarantee it.
Hmm.
Hope you're wrong.
I don't know. I I'm gonna say I hope not because like you're right. 80s action movies. You had the first two and it was awesome, standalone by themselves, and then even if you do a sequel, it's like the sequel itself stands alone, but it ties into the first one. T1, T2, Predator, Predator 2. Well,
I
that
was
was a
thinking
bit of a
exactly about
stretch.
those. Yeah.
But definitely Alien and Aliens. Probably Rocky 1 and 2.
Die
But,
Hard.
Die Hard, yeah.
I think Rocky's the only movie out of all of those that has like a solid third movie.
Do you
Where
like
like
Rocky 3?
I do like Rocky 3 if I remember correctly. That's the
What?
Russian guy, right?
No, that's Rocky 4.
Okay, I like Rocky 4. I
You
don't like Rocky
can't
3.
like Rocky 3. Yeah. You like Rocky 4. That's okay.
Well, I
That's
mean, anybody can like anything, but yeah, if it's an
I'm trying to
objectively
think of
bad
a
movie,
movie like where the third one was any good. Like if anything, a franchise goes through a
Rocky
uh
3 is the least memorable Rocky that I can tell you.
right,
Maybe
franchises
except
typically
for
go through like a
5.
changing period. If it's going to be a good movie after 3, 3 is the changing period that nobody remembers.
I think that
T3,
goes for video
Alien
games as
3.
well.
Halo 3.
I think video games have a trilogy rule because you had the Halo trilogy. Dead Space got messed up because EA got their hands into Visceral, and then Visceral
Mass
can't.
Effect.
Mass Effect's the same deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Assassin's Creed.
Well,
Uh,
Ubisoft got away with Assassin's Creed because they didn't start going downhill until a little bit after Black Flag.
no, I think Assassin's Creed 3 was already the start of the end, honestly. For me, at least. But,
But-
doesn't Assassin's Creed Brotherhood count as the third one? I don't know. I don't even know why we're talking about that.
Well, I think it's just a point of like where does the sequel
Point of
go from
reference
here?
for the
Because
Zombieland
I
3
guarantee
movie.
you guys with the amount of money. Let me look up exact numbers, but this movie made a ton of money.
I
Its
mean,
budget
not
was
as
like
much
what?
as Joker, but
Let me check up
Yeah.
its domestics right now. But I guarantee this movie made enough money to warrant a sequel happening, and they will pay people to come back.
And they will accept.
They will. I think, and I hope that they don't do it right away. I hope that they wait a couple years and do a sort of reunion type movie again. I think that that really works for this movie.
if they do end up trying to do one immediately after this, I do hope that they take their time with it to make sure that it like feels right. Because remember when Avatar came out in like 2012, I think.
Is it
We're
that-
talking blue people,
Which
right?
Avatar?
Yeah, blue people Avatar. Not I'm gonna look like an awkward 10-year-old boy airbending the magical air.
Okay.
Mhm,
Yeah, you're
mhm.
right.
Yeah. And that movie made billions. And then James Cameron's like, yes, there's going to be a sequel. And you're like, okay,
He never
when's
released
coming?
it.
Yeah, well, he's working on, from what I heard, this is all rumor mill, is that he's working on 4 straight sequels. I'm like, okay, so you mean he's going to release Avatar 2, 3, 4, and 5, like within 6, 7, 8 years of each other? Well, if that second one just flops, you're sitting on 3 movies that have to pick up the ball if the second one drops.
It's
But-
possible. I saw it happening.
I guess that's neither here nor there when we're talking about waiting for a third movie that may or may not come.
Mm-hmm.
So, just for clarity's sake, the budget of this movie was 60 mil, and it is sitting on top of 67 domestic or worldwide right now. So it didn't make as much money as I thought. It squeaked by with making money so far, but it still does have quite a few weeks in theaters left. So
Yeah,
it's really tough to put a money value on this movie at this point.
and that's just domestic.
No, that's worldwide.
Oh,
67
damn.
mil worldwide.
Oh, well, I thought they made
Uh,
more money.
Let me see what the critics are saying as far as
Yeah,
scores.
go on Rotten Tomatoes. See what the critics say about that. Rotten Tomatoes, because Rotten Tomatoes is
Rotten Tomatoes
weird.
only gave it a 67%.
Okay, is that critics though?
I believe it is.
What's the audience score?
Audience scores 89%. That
Yeah,
sounds
there
about
we
right.
go.
There we go. There we go. And that's the whole point.
This is a nostalgia movie.
That's
exactly
a reunion.
what it
It's
is.
just a reunion.
And actually, with as much money as this actually didn't make, as much as I thought it made a lot more money, but really it just barely squeaked by making money. So I would not be surprised if they don't make a sequel in this case. I have to change my opinion there. I'm really curious to see what the budget was on the first Zombieland.
I guess it was around 40. I heard it was something like
23.6 mil on the original. And how much did it make?
I think it probably made about 80 to 100.
102 worldwide.
Yep, there we go.
102.
Yep, so it definitely made its money back. This one just barely squeaked by. So, this may be the last Zombieland movie we ever see. And I'm with you guys. I'm okay with that. I don't need a sequel to this movie.
But are you saying that that means the second one was a flop?
No, it broke even. Not a flop, it broke even. A flop would be where it lost a significant amount of money.
I think a flop would be a loss of any amount of money, to be honest.
Yeah.
It would also have to be like, what is an expectation for a movie to be considered successful? So, like, if you make only comparative to your budget, like twice the amount of money you put into a budget, but if your budget's like $1 and you made $2 from it.
Were they really expecting this movie to make all of its money back?
Well,
probably.
I mean, yes, it's a movie. Of course, they're expecting it to make its money back. But were they expecting massive amounts of profits off of it? That's my question.
I mean, maybe not. It was probably just a quick paycheck for all the actors in between movies.
And was it like, this guy obviously has ties with Sony, being as he's a director with Venom. Is this where it's like, I'll direct Venom if you let me do Zombieland 2?
Maybe.
Very well could be a situation like that.
I don't think a director's gonna necessarily negotiate that, not unless they're really dedicated to their work.
Right, which he may be. At least as far as the vibe that I got from the interviews that he's in, that very well could be the case.
You've got to have
I was thinking about that. I think it was something that everybody that was involved in the first movie wanted to do
again. And they may not be able to do it again. Like you said, Bill Murray's going to be ancient if they do it in the next 10 years. Woody Harrelson's getting up there in age.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be in his late 60s. So it may not be possible to do a second movie or a third movie, But I think they did this one just in time to get everybody back on track, because Emma Stone is already she's won awards, hasn't she? I think she's an award-winning actor.
Well, yeah,
I don't know.
Did, Crazy Stupid Love, and I think that got awards.
I think La La Land got.
La La Land got. I don't know if it got an Oscar, but
didn't she also?
She has an Academy Award for Best Actress, a Golden Globe for Best Actress, a BAFTA, a Screen Actors Guild Award, Volpe Cup, MTV Movie Award.
Yeah, she got an Oscar for Best Actor from La La Land.
People's Choice.
She won an Oscar.
Crazy Stupid Love.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah, she is a very critically acclaimed actor.
Wow. I wasn't sure.
Leonardo
but,
DiCaprio.
wow.
And she's only going places. Like, I think Emma Stone's acting career is one of those, like Michelle Pfeiffer, where, she starts really young and has been acting ever since. Just a career actor. And I think that's good for her because she's very, very good at it. And then Jesse Eisenberg's kind of in the same deal. And Woody Harrelson's on the edge of his acting career, I think. I think he's probably, he may do the Sam Jackson where he stays until he's, 70-something, but...
Clint Eastwood laughs at you in his 80s.
That's true. Very good point.
Is he in his 80s? You know what? He probably just looks ancient for being.
No, he is. I'm almost certain he is.
I think he's
almost
in his
90.
80s, yeah.
Because Chuck Norris is almost 80, and the dude looks like he's just cracking 50s and the 60s. But of course, when was the last
He is 89 years old
that you saw Chuck
and he
Norris
looks
in?
more and more like Christopher Lloyd by the day.
Yeah, he's look healthier than me. Maybe.
I mean, ouch. That's an ouch to yourself.
Dude will be 80 next year, March 10th.
Who?
Chuck Norris.
Chuck Norris?
Yeah.
Damn.
And it doesn't even say that he's an American actor. It just says he's an American martial artist.
Okay. Yeah. That's. Wait a second. Was he on? Yeah, he did a show
Just straight
forever.
up Google profile, look at it.
All right. Anybody? Any memorable quotes from the movie? Any of your favorites?
Damn, put
The-
me on the spot, huh?
That thing that Italian guy said. Something faculo something.
Oh, the one where he drops the
Yeah,
Leaning
the-
Tower of Pisa.
That was
Okay.
the quote that I came out of the movie in my head.
Fair enough. Michael, anything?
You know what? I got nothing for you, boys.
Okay.
I went in there just to enjoy a movie, and that's what I did.
I find-
I probably, if I wanted to comb through it a second time to find a quote, I could probably find something.
I
But,
definitely got one on my second time around. I did not get one the first time, for sure.
Yeah.
If you love something, you shoot it in the face so it doesn't become a flesh-eating monster.
Awesome. Yeah.
That was
That
talking
when he's
the-
about to shoot Madison.
Yep. I do
Awesome.
have to say, just kind of as a note here at the end, all the actors, like I think I figured out why actors are actors. Is everyone in this movie has such a contagious smile. Like they're smiling through the movie, I'm smiling watching it. Like I'm just having a good time because it's clear that they're having a good time.
Just one last thing.
Yeah.
The Elvis Cadillac, was it pink or white?
It looked white, didn't it? It looked like a cream
Yeah,
white.
it did.
He said
That's-
pink.
Yeah, isn't that the contrast?
It's pink, though, guys. It is pink.
Yeah.
Is it pink?
You can see that it's pink when you're looking at it from above, but when you see it, the first scene that it shows it, it's white. You can clearly see it. It's completely white, and I think that's because no, it's not contrast. I think it's saturation. I think the image is
Well,
oversaturated.
As a photographer myself, I understand that pinks, reds, oranges, yellows are extremely hard to pick up on camera. It very well could be just the lighting that they had that day didn't pick up very well, and they couldn't get a shot where it looks pink.
The sun was also reflecting off the car, covering like half the hood, anyways, or the entire hood.
Yep.
So
Definitely. But I do agree with you. In that last shot where they're all in the car, it does look like it's a cream white.
Funny, isn't it?
Yeah, it was really weird. Really weird. But I'm fine with it. It doesn't, in the end, it's a nitpick. So, William, how do you feel about the movie? Do you recommend it to people? What's your ending thoughts?
Better than Joker.
Better than Joker.
Yep.
We'll have to get into that discussion later. I agree with you that it's better than Joker, but I think you're shitting on Joker a little bit too much there. But we'll get into that one in a future episode. Michael, ending thoughts. Where do you sit with this movie?
all right. So rating as a recent comedy, probably 8.59 out of 10.
That's
I
what I've
said,
got too.
It's in comparison to recent movies, it's a diamond in the rough. Like everything that has been thrown out after like Avengers Endgame, and it's like movies nowadays are almost difficult to watch because if it's not politically driven, it's just poorly made. And even the ones that are politically driven are usually just bad to begin with. I think the other two movies that I enjoyed before Zombieland 2 were probably Hobbs and Shaw, just because of the action romp. I mean, I'm not going to say it was a good movie by any stretch of the imagination, but I went there looking for action, and action is what I got. I came here looking for comedy in Zombieland, and comedy is what I got. So, guys, gals, listen, if you want to go watch Zombieland just for the sake of comedy, do it. It's good. I enjoyed it, and I've said my piece there.
All right, and I totally agree with Michael. I think if you're going for a comedy, if this is a nostalgia movie for you, if you just like comedy, if you're a fan of any of the actors that are in this movie, go watch it. You'll have a good time. I don't think there's anybody on earth. Maybe if you're a little squeamish and you don't like gory movies, this may not be the one for you, but That being aside, this is a movie really for everybody. There's a lot to see here. I really suggest it.
But do you
But
watch
other than that, yeah, especially if you watch the first one. And make sure if you are a fan of the series, go back and watch the first one. I think it'll help put a lot of the jokes and the direction and everything in the second movie to a better light for you when you go watch it.
I miss Twinkies, by the way.
And we all miss Twinkies, R.I.P. All right, with that being said, everyone, I think we're going to wrap it up there. I do appreciate everyone for stopping by. I'm not sure what we're going to be doing the next time, but I will put it up. I have a Twitter. The link is Post-Production Podcast. So if you look that up on Twitter, you'll be able to find us. Other than that, I want to thank you all for watching, and you all have a good night. See ya.